Kept losing service out here. Weather's been pretty harsh. Getting a lot of snow today. Anyways, shout outs real quick. Sunny Money, Mooch. Thank you guys. We've got Carlos, Redhead Stepchild. We've got Primo. All you guys, thanks so much for you guys watching my channel all the time, supporting everything. Much appreciation to you guys. Antonino, another person. Thanks again for watching my content. So we'll cut down to the business on this real quick here. And this isn't like just barely happening today. It's been for a while now, a couple days. But the state of New Jersey and Minnesota are actually suing Glock over firearms that can be with adaptable switches. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with what's going on in the firearm community, I call it the Glock switch epidemic. What it is, on Glock firearms, you can take the back plate off the slide. You can insert this little switch button thing into the slide position. And what this switch enables to do is it can turn it into a fully automatic pistol. Now, of course that's illegal. Glock switches are illegal. But the state of New Jersey and the state of Minnesota want to sue Glock over it. However, Glock is not the company manufacturing these switches. In fact, Glock has only had one model that's fully automatic, and that's the Glock C18. Now, of course, there's the NFA ones where people have it customly done, but the Glock 18 is the only fully automatic Glock, and it was a prototype. I think if I'm correct here, I believe they run for about $100,000 a pistol. So, these people figured out how to make adaptable switches for their Glocks by high capacity magazines and so forth. They've got fully automatic pistol. The fact though, Glock is not the one manufacturing these. Glock doesn't make their pistols in that way for people to, alter the firearm and make it fully automatic, because here's the thing, Glock's design has been the exact same design since 1984. I mean, of course they've gotten thinner, and there's different specs on different calibers and barrel lengths and things like that on the specific models or what types of magazines and things along that line. But as far as it goes, Glock is probably one of the most simple firearms you can possibly buy. It's one of the most reliable. It's affordable. I mean, I'm not sure what they run. I haven't bought a Glock for a while. I've got a couple. But I mean, for the most part though, it's the simple Glock safety design. Take the back plate off and then they pop the switch on. How can you sue a company who's making these legally, doing everything abiding by the law, blame them for somebody else who came up with an idea to make an improvised fully automatic pistol? That's wrong, man. That's not right. That would be like for instance, if you bought a motor vehicle and somehow, it had some sort of governor on it or whatnot, somebody goes and does a modification to the motor to make it more powerful, not street legal, whatever, nitrous oxide or any of that type, those racing upgrades that people put on their cars because they saw Fast and the Furious too many damn times in the early 2000s and thought that they were cool like that with their little mom's Honda Civic or whatever, that type of stuff. But you're gonna go sue Honda because you hooked up somebody hooked nitrous oxide tanks up to the motor vehicle to burn faster and everything. I mean, you see where I'm getting with this. That's complete bullshit. It's like it just doesn't make any sense. And we've got these attorney generals who I don't even know how they can justifiably even attempt to sue Glock, because here's the thing that's going to happen. Glock's going to win on account of, let's see, how many how many agencies across the United States use Glock? Every police force uses Glock. Glock usually, or Smith & Wesson MP's popular now. But I mean, as far as it goes, it's Glock perfection. Glock 17, Glock 17 has been the service pistol for ages now, um, and it's simple and it's effective. But the fact that they would be sued because their design that they have a patent on since, if I recall, the patent was 1986. But you better. I mean, all that means to me is that they could sue any other gun manufacturer they want if somebody takes the gun, does something with it that's not for its intended purpose, and then modifies it and goes forward with that. You can't blame the original manufacturer if that's not how they manufactured it and somebody else altered it. It's on the individual at that point. But it's complete bullshit. So let's see here. Some of their argument points. These can shoot up to 1,200 rounds a minute. And let me tell you what, I've watched guys on YouTube who are dumb and post videos of them shooting Glock switches and whatnot. A lot of them with the double drums and everything like that. They do a burnout after about 500, I don't know. Once they get to about like 500 to 700 round part, they start to jam up and malfunction. At least the ones that I've seen. But it gets even better. You've got New Jersey Attorney General Matt Platkin. You've got Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. I'll put up some info on those guys on my community page so everybody can see what fucking idiot these guys are that are trying to screw Glock over and get in on their try to make some sort of gun violence stance. And it's always after a big shooting. It's always the gun politics come out of the woodwork too. It's ridiculous. But let's see here. They announced that top law enforcement officials in 14 states and the District of Columbia are forming a coalition to reduce gun violence by coordinating enforcement of the state's consumer protection laws. So suing Glock because a bunch of dumbasses figured out how to alter them to make the guns fully automatic after they've been purchased and are no longer Glock's property or whomever is selling those. Not those people. They're not in trouble. We're not going to hold the guy accountable that decided he wanted to have a fully automatic weapon and go out and rob a place and shoot 5 people with it. I mean, what in the hell? I mean, if I was like way liberal, I'd be offended for these guys like trying to associate me with them if they're liberals. I mean, I'd be embarrassed as fuck because that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. These are attorney generals talking about whack law rules and things like that, and they're like proud of it. Man, these court cases are gonna have more holes in them than the fucking Iraqi Navy. I mean, like, unbelievable, man. I mean, if I was, I'd be offended, man. I'm so glad I moved out of Minnesota. But so coalition to reduce gun violence, consumer protection laws. So consumer protection laws would mean that they would be selling something that is unsafe to the consumer. It's a firearm, it's an instrument, it's a tool, it's a piece for death and protection. Of course it's dangerous, that's the purpose. But the fact is so the switch that these people are going to put on it later is going to make it more dangerous for irresponsible people. So we're going to sue the original people and not the guys actually committing the crime. God damn, man. That is just the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard in my life. So let's see here. This moves by mostly Democrat-led states amount to early pushback against President-elect Donald Trump. President-elect, president-seated, however you want to say it, whatever. Donald Trump, second administration, which Platkin, a Democrat, said he'll routinely just side with the government. Yeah, he will. You know why? Somebody tried to shoot the president. Hit the ear or whatever. It killed a person that was innocent behind him. That person ended up getting shot. You know what? Less people died because of it. Granted, it was a Secret Service or FBI or law enforcement person that shot that kid on that rooftop. But, a gun did that. That's what they're for. Stop that kid from hurting other people. I mean, they're lucky that kid wasn't trained in shooting as well as anybody that had ever, gone to at least 1 or 2 actual law enforcement training or military shooting, boot camp, or basic, whatever you want to call it if you're in the Army. And the fact is because his follow-up shots were sloppy. Usually the first shot's the shot you got to make count. The ones after that, I mean, he just started blasting. and following up, not as accurate out of those 5 shots made. But, Ronald Reagan, he got shot. Did you see him go and bitch about guns? No. I mean, that Second Amendment, these guys know, Trump knows, Ronald Reagan knows, and here's the thing, if these guys wanted to become tyrants and try to take away that right, that's why we have guns. It's to protect us from the government, because we shouldn't be as scared of the government. The government should be afraid of us. And that's exactly how it should be. Unfortunately, it's not. But, here's some good comments. You've got the Associated Press trying to reach Glock, requesting a comment. Now, you guys all know Glock's from Austria. Of course, they have United States subsidiaries like everybody else does, especially if you want to get law enforcement contracts and things like that, so you can, arm the police agencies and whatnot. The United States really likes that. Americans like to see things like that. Basically, based in Smyrna, Georgia. They didn't respond to it. They haven't commented yet regarding the lawsuits involving the switches. But, there's a lot of trade groups condemning these lawsuits as lawfare that abuses the judicial system, disregarding federal law. So in other words, weaponizing another part of our government against people in our country. Glock's running a factory and manufacturing and whatnot in Georgia. That's American-based right there. That's attacking it. Clearly, this is an abuse of the courts, the attempt to circumvent the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act. Lawrence Keene, Senior Vice President, General Counsel of the National Shooting Sports Foundation, said in a statement, these Attorney Generals, Platkin and Ellison, along with the other colluding states, are attempting to extend frivolous claims that have no foundation in law and abuse taxpayer dollars to advance an unconstitutional gun control agenda. Amen. So, that being the case, it's a September report from anti-violence organizations. Everytown for Gun Safety concluded Glock pistols are a popular choice for gun crimes. It's because Glocks are reliable, they're affordable, but, law enforcement's also, one of their big choices to go off on that. So, that being the case there, guys. So, at least there's some people in the federal government that are looking at this and laughing at how ridiculous it is. Because quite frankly, it boils down to just like debunking suppressors. There's arguments, and then their own arguments contradict their own arguments. Like suppressors, for instance, in the video I dropped, it was people think gun or violent crimes are going to go up if, making suppressors illegal, that will help stop that, even though it's 0.0003% gun crimes have a suppressor. That's from the ATF directly. You've got people saying that poaching, game and hunting is going to be become a more ethical issue. Well, here's something really crazy to think about. Yeah, they do catch poachers, a lot of things along that line. However, look over in Europe or over in India or Africa. Most of the poachers over there, they all use crossbows. They're going to find ways to kill animals. They do have, for the larger games, they'll use their larger rifle. But here's the thing, suppressors do not make the gun completely silent. Once that round, if it's not subsonic, goes off, it's going to crack the sound barrier. And that thing right there, you can't muffle it. They can muffle the gases coming out of the suppressor at the end of the barrel, but in some of the parts of the gun that are moving, as far as your bolt carrier and slide or whatnot. But everything else, you're still going to get some sound decimals, and you'll still hear it. It can still cause, ear damage if you get up to that 140 to 180 decibel area. So, anybody that buys a suppressor, it comes with an instruction booklet. It says this can still cause damage to your hearing, wear ear protection. That's another one of the arguments is, well, suppressors are misleading because they're silencers and they're supposed to silence everything. Wrong. And why would the people that manufacture these be accountable for you as the consumer, knowing damn well you should be wearing ear protection and know how to operate or use this attachment to your firearm? It's just, there's the accountability aspect right there. And what that does also though is, well, if it makes sound and it's misleading, they should get rid of it. Well, you can't use the excuse that police can't respond because they can't hear the gunshots, or I mean, things along that line for that matter. It delays response time for first responders and things like that. Those are very circumstantial situations. Majority of the time, though, if somebody's shooting a suppressor, if it's subsonic ammo or it's a low caliber like a 22 LR rimfire, something along that line, you're gonna, it'll be muffled pretty good for the most part, but you'll still hear some of it. Depending what areas, big cities, places like that, there's so much traffic, things along that line. It is noise pollution everywhere. Suppressors, you can still overhear them over all that crap, decibel-wise. It's a joke. Number two thing, suppressors, once you've hooked that onto your pistol or your rifle or your shotgun, if you get the salvo, which is pretty cool looking, even though I always think it looks like a mini mailbox on a barrel. Carrying around a pistol with a suppressor on the end of it, you're adding another 7 to 8 inches to the barrel. It makes it a little bit more difficult to conceal. Not to mention if you see a guy running with a suppressor and a gun, I mean, it's just nuts. It's just completely crazy. And then they think, well, if people can kill people and they're more quiet, it's going to be more dangerous. Well, here's the thing, though. You could kill people with a butcher knife. You can kill people with a hammer. And hammers, when I was looking up statistics, that tends to be a pretty popular choice of bludgeoning people to death, which is pretty crazy, but, it makes sense. I guess that would be more quiet, but, it's just, these arguments are just so funny and ridiculous because they just all contradict it. I mean, shooting animals with a suppressor, you're still going to hear the gun go off. Now, are there going to be enough Department of Natural Resources agents and game wardens and stuff like that around the area that are going to be, okay, I heard a gunshot, it's hunting season, where did it come from? I mean, it's not exactly like they can canvass the entire, range of public land that people go hunting on. It's just ridiculous. And the other thing is there's no real statistics or information that they can even pull up about more people poaching with suppressors and stuff like that. I know when I was living in Minnesota a few years ago, they made a big stink about state law that you could use your AR-15s and semi-automatic rifles like your Mini 14s and stuff like that to go hunt deer. Why you'd want to, I don't know. But, whatever, each their own. But I mean, you go with that. So you've got all these things with suppressors, and then the greatest thing of all, though, is what was his name here? FBI agent, who was on the hostage crisis team. He's on SWAT teams. He teaches all these different law enforcement agencies across the entire United States. Made a comment saying, suppressors do not make the gun more lethal. The only thing a suppressor does is it muffles the sound a little bit, and it's a little bit more comfortable for the shooter to shoot with. And that's about it. I mean, so these are law enforcement agencies, debunking all this junk. ATF, in their own words, violent crimes, 0.0003% have suppressors. Only 41 gun violent crimes with suppressors have been committed since 2021. I mean, you go with that. And then, there's their other statistic, or in their notes on their website, even the ATF, I can't believe I'm actually saying the ATF's actually agreeing with some shit for once, but ATF stating that most people that purchase suppressors legally are law-abiding citizens. Seldom do they commit crimes. They don't want to commit crimes, apparently, but it's like, you're registered, you've got your tax stamp. Yeah, some of these people have to go through 18 months of a waiting period just to get the damn thing so they can legally have a suppressor. And the other thing is the final argument to it is, well, if suppressors, people can't get their hands on them, then we don't have to worry about people having them. Wrong again. And with this person in the chat here saying they'll just use oil filters, exactly. I mean, I've seen so many makeshift suppressors out of oil filters. You'd be surprised. Making baffles out of chunks of aluminum. I mean, it's, making suppressors really isn't that complicated. Now, quality-wise, or how well it functions and works, that might be a situation. You look at the quality of the one that the Luigi kid that shot that CEO had. Supposedly it's 3D printed. all of these things. He didn't know exactly that he needed to have a booster spring malfunctioned or whatnot, but I guess it was still effective. Now the video footage we've all seen, it doesn't have sound to it, unfortunately. But the other thing to also take into consideration and thought, when you're recording, sound's going to be different recorded compared to you standing right next to it going off as well. Decibels and everything like that. But I mean, these are just factors to think about. It's just ridiculous. It's like the silencer doesn't make the gun more lethal. The fact that it was 3D printed gun doesn't make the gun more lethal. It just makes headlines. People love to hear ghost gun, which is ridiculous if you ask me. I mean, how do you shoot a ghost? But you've got some crazy stuff like that. Then you've got these Glock switches. Now everybody knows, for starters, all the idiots on videos shooting switches out in the air, shooting towards houses, or mag dumping, just dumb and as irresponsible and reckless as can be. Those are the few that are the bad seeds out of the group. I mean, they're dumb enough to do something illegal that could get them landed in prison in a lot of trouble on social media. So that really tells you about them right there. Now here's the thing. If people that are that stupid, are able to get switches and things like that, and suppressors and all sorts of whatnots, why is it that the people that aren't the criminals, that are the ones getting punished for doing everything the right way? And gun violence is not really a gun issue, because the gun's not going to shoot itself. It's the person pulling the trigger. So regulating it with more gun control laws that are ridiculous, trying to sue Glock over something they don't even manufacture. I mean, they have the one prototype, that's it. I mean, that's how ridiculous it gets. I mean, it's just, I hate the politics and I hate that crap, but like Glock's not even my favorite firearm manufacturer. I think, quite frankly, the only reason I carry Glock's reliable. I'm used to shooting it. It's not the coolest of guns that I have, but they're fun, I suppose. It's reliable. But the fact that they would attack them like that just means to me that, okay, so how long is it going to be before they go after Colt? How long it's going to be before they go after Smith & Wesson? How long is it going to be after they go for Remington? Shit, who knows? They might even go after Daisy BB guns for these ludicrous lawsuits about stupid things. So that's the rant for this evening, guys. I'll post some more notes in the community page. Thanks so much for everybody for watching. I really appreciate you guys helping out the channel. I've got some more funny drone video parodies and things like that coming out, and some other topics up here soon, guys. You guys all take care. Enjoy your evening.